Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and there is no conspiracy. We do happen to also have Christmas colors as our setup. So Merry Christmas to all that are celebrating, and hope you're all having a great holiday season. Jen?
Yes, I've always said on this day, what's a Jew to do? What's a Jew to do?
I don't know. I would also say that you did say that the chocolate covered almonds are good, so that's a good start.
Yes, Peter bought me a gift, and he's very pleased with it.
Yeah, don't sound too overwhelmingly happy about it, please. You definitely couldn't make it.
Thank you so much for getting me a gift.
No, I contemplated wearing your shirt for the stream, but I decided that the old school shirt
must be. Not happy with it.
The only festive shirt that I have, so I had to wear it. That's the, that's
this is my only festive attire for now until further notice.
Well, I don't know who else is doing a live stream on Christmas, but we're probably going to be on our own this evening. But this is, again, why we stick to a schedule. It just so happened to fall on this day. For me, my big night is Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, depending on where I am. At this point of the day or night, as we should say, on Christmas, there's usually one of two things happening, not just in Christian households, but pretty much every American household. You're either eating Chinese food or you're at the movie theater. It's usually one of the two at this point. Or number three, door number three is officially here. You're watching revolutionary change. Am I right?
Yeah. I used to go to movies more frequently pre-COVID. Since then, I go almost very infrequently, and Christmas is just a little too crowded for going to a movie. Plus, there's nothing I want to see right now in the theater that would warrant me enduring that. And I did order pizza. That's what I did.
Where did you get it from?
Oh, it's one of the places that on Uber Eats that delivers.
Okay. So what's that really good Italian place that you used to get that pizza from?
Well, they're not open. I mean, when it's Christmas and it's a what's a Jew to do day, you kind of just, you go with where there's available food, which is why the Chinese thing has become so common.
Fair enough. Fa ra 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 ra.
Don't really.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. Because there's we have to be able to laugh at ourselves.
Can't laugh at that. That's not cool, man.
I think it's hysterical, but that's me. So today was
it would never be allowed to be today. That's what's sad about it, really.
Well, today was travel day for me. I was able to spend my Christmas where I always do, which is in South Florida, even though it's not exactly the festivest place to do it. But I did end up doing a live stream with Jen on Monday, which was fun. We didn't kill each other. That's obviously the most
I can't have somebody else in my I can't. I'm too used to being on my own now. I think I can't handle somebody being in my vicinity.
I was actually nice enough to let you command the majority of the space.
Please. You had It's not even in your nature to even be able to do that. But I did spend a good chunk of today watching A Christmas Story on repeat because it's on so many stations.
Of course. Well, there are a handful of Christmas movies. I came up with my top 5.
My favorite.
So I mean, this is without including the classics. If we're talking
Fragile.
Fragile. So Christmas Story's on the list. Home Alone is on the list. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and it is on the list. Scrooged is on the list. And then the question is, what's number 5? What is the 5th Christmas movie? Now, the argument is usually for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which is a reasonable option. I think it's the best of the National Lampoon's movies, of the Chevy Chase Clark Griswold movies. It certainly had some great moments. And if we're talking classic Christmas, it's a toss-up between Miracle on 34th Street and It's a Wonderful Life. So I see somebody put Captain Jack.
Well, guys, notice how Peter says this. It's just a matter of just fact. This is what's there. And nobody else has a thought. This is how it is. This is the best Christmas movies.
Hmm. Yeah. So what is your top five?
That it's like a formal decision. I have my two that I love: A Christmas Story and I love The Holiday. And that is, The Holiday is maudlin for non-maudlin people like me. It is as close as I get to that. And ironically, about a character that is pretty anti-maudlin. So I just think it's very entertaining.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I love The Holiday. Love that movie.
I just got some weird audio. I'm getting some audio kickback on you.
I'm not getting anything. Well, there's nothing happening here, so I don't know what you're hearing. Maybe you're hearing things.
I'm definitely not hearing things. You're telling me you
I'm
can't
not hearing it, so you're hearing some things.
Well, whatever. God, what are you in just like a mood today? I don't get it.
I'm in a mood.
Yeah. Well, why? Do you have something that you want to get, spicy about? Do you want to rage?
Do I want to be spicy?
Yeah.
I don't think I need to be spicy. No, I don't need to be spicy.
Well, do you have to rage against somebody?
I'll find something to rage against. I'm sure you have an innumerable stories that I'll feel a certain amount of rage about.
It is Christmas, and one of the things about our holidays that we so often either forget about or tend to not talk about is this is one of the few days of the year where, again, it's kind of a cliche, but it's almost like Bill Murray giving his speech at the end of Scrooge, which is it's a day that we can cheer a little more, be a little nicer, more considerate to people. But it's not a universal attitude. It's a rare attitude. And when we think about the happiest places in the world, we are not happy by any stretch, especially compared to other parts of the world. Now, you sent me this clip from this older gentleman who was, I believe, is from someplace in Scandinavia and was highlighting why their way of life is so much more happy and fulfilling than ours is, and why we should be a lot more like the Nordic countries in terms of how we live our lives.
Wait, is this the one where he talks about how President Trump said that, we need to get more people coming here from the Scandinavian countries? Yes, and it's shocking they don't want to come here. But yes, that's what
you might have heard of over there. And their president the other day was babbling on about immigration. And this is one thing that he said. Have a listen.
Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people?
Wow. Why is that? What could possibly be the reason or the reasons for this? Why are the people of the Nordic countries all not stampeding down to an airport and flying off to Yankee Doodle Dandy Land? So yeah, maybe it is something as simple as the fact that we are happy. We are happy where we are. We consistently top the world.
Freeze it. We are, so for people who aren't looking, it's just happiest countries. Now, I don't know what poll this is by, but pretty much across the board, if you've ever looked at polls regarding these types of measurements, this is fairly accurate. Like, this is how it is. So guys, so the countries that are in Scandinavia are 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 7, and then we're number 27. In terms of happiest countries, we're 27. Well, why would someone move from a happier country to a less happy country? Who does that?
And these are countries that are very cold climates. So you would think that, oh, it's cold or it's dreary. They talk about that all the time. Why would they? Again, that's not
that's the people in Cleveland and Buffalo. It's plenty cold and dreary here too.
No, what I'm saying is that it is cold and dreary there, but they're not miserable. They're actually very happy with their lives. And I think the reflection of that has as much to do with their democratic socialist republic that they have, that these countries do have, that we are severely lacking in. And that is one key measurement when it comes to happiness. You know what these 5 countries have in common that the United States doesn't have? They have universal education, They have universal child care.
Well, wait for him to get into it. So that I was just pointing out how his system is. Like, let him go through the ranks, because I think some of this is addressed in there. But like, guys, so you see the numbers in green are good, and anything not in green is not good, and we're down there in yellow at 27.
World's happiness index every single year. And maybe it's because we live in societies with strong civil liberties and political rights. That is pretty cool as well. We have low levels of income inequality.
That's a huge one.
This one, but the one before it was insane. We were the only one in triple digits on that chart, the one right before this. Oh my God, guys. So regarding civil liberties and political rights, we're 186.
But my constitution.
The next closest on the list is Iceland at number 20. Oh my God, we're at 186 regarding civil liberties and political rights. That's just whew.
186. I mean, there's like what, 192 countries total?
Something like that. Yeah.
We're right. Again, when we talk about our civil liberties, like you said, what civil liberties?
Oh,
they don't exist. They're all gone.
And political rights. That is pretty cool as well. We have low levels of income inequality in all of the Nordic countries, you know? Corruption isn't really something that we have to deal with on a daily basis in our lives. We live in peaceful countries.
Global peace. I'm surprised we're not dead last, considering we pretty much start every foreign conflict or war in the world.
I would bet, well, the ones that are last are subsidiaries of us. I bet you anything. Like the ones that are the last ones are the ones that we use as proxies to do a lot of the stuff. So it's who knows how these numbers are calculated. But again, the peace index, Iceland, number 1, USA, I think it says 126, 28. What does it say?
Yeah, 128.
We are safe. And who doesn't want to be safe on a daily basis, leading the lives that they lead? We enjoy high levels of press freedom. That is a really cool indicator that.
Another clear example of how that has significantly deteriorated since the Telecom Act of 96 and even the Fairness Doctrine of 87. It's all a reflection of how far down the list we've gone. Now, if you go prior to those two significant landmark policy changes, one under Reagan, one under Clinton, my guess is that when it came to press freedom, we were pretty high up there.
So let me be clear. I do not know where these particular numbers are from, but what they are is very indicative of lifestyles in those countries versus this country. So it doesn't matter, right? Like this is where we fall in these areas in relation to non-imperial, non-completely crony capital places.
Correct.
That's just, it doesn't matter what the number
or a society is doing well. Things are pretty good in our daily lives as well. It's easy for us to get ahead in life, you know.
This again is a reflection of having universal health care, universal education,
strong unions,
strong labor unions. It's all connected. And these 5 countries they're in the top 5 in terms of social mobility. So you can complain all you want about how the rich have to pay high taxes, and they do. But as you can see, the stabilization in terms of income inequality is pretty much rendered mute because of the fact that they have this balancing act that they're able to pull, which, as we can see at number 27, despite being the wealthiest nation in the world, doesn't really hold water.
Social mobility, climbing the social ladder. We have a good work-life balance, which gives us more time with our family and our friends and, of course, ourselves. Like most places in the world, of course, we have 5 weeks of annual leave. And we get extra money to spend on our holidays. Secondary education is, of course, on our holidays.
Stop. I'll take care of it.
Those numbers are accurate numbers. So the numbers that are rating us on an index, I don't know what that poll is or what they're basing that on. But in terms of the amount of paid annual leave, and by the way, this is just for regular holiday. This is because he's going to get, this isn't parental leave. That's a whole other thing. This is just how much paid holiday time other countries give. And this is pretty accurate. Close enough.
And we get extra money to spend on our holidays. Post-secondary education is, of course, free. And actually, we get paid to educate ourselves.
So one of the key things that you also have to remember, which is something that we've harped on for a very long time, which I felt was probably Bernie's strongest economic message when he ran the first time, was tuition-free public college and trade schools. In these countries, they pay you to learn a skill that is necessary for the society to thrive. We don't have anything of the sort here in this country. We have these schools that you have to pay to go to in order to learn a skill. It should be in the inverse. Hey, listen, we need more engineers. We need more plumbers. We need more electricians. We need more carpenters. We are going to train you and pay you and make sure you get a well-paying job because we need you to fill these positions. That's what goes on in Scandinavia. Seems like a pretty novel idea, doesn't it?
Our countries invest in us when we take an education. Family is important to us. We get lots of time off for parental leave. Duh.
Okay. So for anybody not looking, the shortest amount of time on the list next to us is Norway. They give 49 weeks of paid parental leave. Okay, 49 weeks. And then the other ones are, you've got 2 that are 52, that take 1 year. And then there's a couple, 64, and Sweden is 69. Like, we're zero. But yet somehow people think our kids are going to be able to grow up and be competitive in any sort of world where the children of these people are growing up.
You know, and it's parental leave. So it's split between the parents. Universal medical care is, of course, a no-brainer. I mean, most countries in the world have this. Who wants to live in a country where just breaking a leg can actually bankrupt you?
Right.
Yep. And there it is.
And that's what I say to people when they come in, and inevitably people are like, well, if it's single payer is this, or if it's government, any libertarian crap or whatever, people come in or say stuff like, well, in other countries, it's not good. And they have to wait for things in other countries. We have to wait for stuff here, plenty, even people with insurance. And they start talking about the problems in other countries' health systems, which arguably there are plenty. I'm sure. But the first thing I will always say is, how many people go bankrupt in those countries every year because of medical debt? And of course, none. So we can argue about the method, but our system is a complete failure.
Who wants to live in a country where just breaking a leg can actually bankrupt you? And yeah, generally, maybe it's just because we have this cool little thing that we call democracy, and we're pretty damn good at it. I mean, there's probably lots of other reasons as well, you know, low levels of crime and murder. Our kids don't have to wear bulletproof backpacks when they go to school. We don't ban books like it's the Middle Ages. Like, the number of banned books in the Nordic countries is exactly 0. We're not forced into car dependency in our transport. We haven't fixed gender equality yet, but yeah, we lead the rest of the world on that front as well. So yeah, wow, what a surprise. We're doing just fine where we are, you know? Oh my God, it's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What am I doing still working here? Everybody else has gone home, man. I gotta go, gotta live my life. Have a good one.
Exactly. That's why the people from Denmark aren't rushing to our shores to come here.
Despite what the president would want us to believe, why aren't people rushing over?
Oh.
It is
the people in the, first of all, the people in the more impoverished countries and the more vulnerable countries, even they would not necessarily be rushing to come here either if it weren't for us completely creating such political and economic upheaval in those countries, on top of them just being more vulnerable. So people would rather live infinitely more, or let's say, less financially secure to be where they are and be in their home place. So, you know, why are people coming here? It isn't just because of the money. It's because we create environments that are unlivable for people around the world.
And therein lies where I think the connection comes in when we become so caught up in what's going on with Israel and what they represent for our nation overall. This one nation under blackmail, one nation under corporate control, one nation under religious zealot behavior. And all the while, we have found ourselves for so very long being distracted by issues that, frankly, are of no significance whatsoever to our daily lives, especially with so many of the hot button issues that have divided so many people over the past few years. And that's, in my opinion, just simply taking your eye off the ball. But now it's becoming more and more apparent every day that what we're dealing with, and one of the reasons why we're not a happy nation, why we're not a thriving nation, is that we are captured by a corporate oligarchy, and that corporate oligarchy really loves the state of Israel, in part, maybe in the largest part, because it's such a financially beneficial relationship. We've covered many different aspects of that relationship. Now, this is going to be a two-parter because I'm going to show you guys, on the one hand, Matt Gaetz obviously is out of Congress now. He will probably make his foray back in at some point. He's so young, be my guess. He's going to try something at some point. Who knows? He may even try to get his congressional seat back. Didn't hear nothing from me. But what he did do is explain exactly why we have this systematic problem. And I think one of the best ways to crystallize this example of why our entire government is captured by the Zionist state need look no further than this very brief clip from an interview that, don't ask me how, I don't understand why Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, is getting all of these, we'll just call them high-level interviews. I'm sure that it has probably some connection to Barry Weiss. It's something about these Jewish brunette women that look slightly like they could potentially have some blood Middle East related. I don't know.
You mean the Ziocons?
Well, you said it. I didn't say it.
I said it. Ziocons.
So after she sits down for an interview with Kash Patel and his significant other, now she sits down for an interview with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and his significant other. And this was a key talking point in that interview.
It is overblown, the schism in the Republican Party over the idea of anti-Semitism and those who are claiming one person is and one person isn't.
I wish we could put that aside, and I wish that everybody would acknowledge the importance of that relationship. And there, as has been noted, there are lots of scripturally based biblical reasons to support Israel. But even if you don't accept that, you have to look at this objectively and say it's really important to have that ally and partner in that corner of the world.
So there you go. So on the one hand, it's a biblical reason that we need to have this relationship. And if that's not good enough for you, then how about an economic reason to have it?
Can we also talk about how unbelievably, are you telling me that Stephen Miller's wife in this capacity is acting as sort of like a reporter or an interviewer, a la like a Barbara Walters? Like, is that what role she's in here?
I don't know what it is with these Zio brunettes, but you think about the fact that Laura Loomer has a open door pass to the Pentagon. You think about the fact that Barry Weiss is in control of CBS News.
Okay, let's talk about how unbelievably unprofessional and ridiculous this woman looks. And this is somebody who I went to journalism school, granted, very, very many years ago. So this is a professional interview with the Speaker of the House. Okay, you're in a pretty official looking office. You are slouched over sideways, like with a body aversion to the people you're interviewing, leaning on the armrest. You have your bottom foot like as if your little mules are coming off, like you're just hanging out at home, like you're just very chill and relaxed. And you look like very uncomfortable and awkward. Take off your jacket, stay for a minute. Okay. Why is your hair all bunched up? You look so unprofessional. This is, yeah, we're in a really bad state of who is this? Why is she like, this is an embarrassment for like all women that ever had to like claw their way in this business to be able to have a job like that. And she's sitting there like she had to take time out of her errand and going to get a latte this afternoon to go sit down and do this with the speaker.
Well, if you really want to get into the heart of it, which is something that you've actually avoided doing, I'm not sure too many people know that this woman is from the same community. I don't know if she's from the same neighborhood, but she is a resident of the same community that Debbie Wasserman Schultz lives in.
Yes, this is a girl who is from Weston and graduated from Cypress Bay High School and apparently was not very well liked. And was not considered a very nice person. Like there's been, I've seen a lot of things coming out from people from her class, and also the same I heard about her from her time at University of Florida.
So she failed upwards, essentially.
Well, she's just, look, it's like a cunt is going to cunt. It's the same thing as with Debbie. You know, I had told you my cousin knew her when she was at UF and he was in law school, and she would wanting to hang around with the law students. And when I ran against her the first time, and he told me, he's like, she was a cunt then. So it's like, these people are who they are, but look at her body language. Look how she's like, so I have to do this. Look, I got my note cards.
Well, look at her freaking loafers that she has on. I mean,
they're not loafers. They're mules, which means that they don't even have backs to them. She's sitting there like she's wearing house slippers, leaning sideways, very casually, very sloppily, with an interview with the Speaker of the House.
Well, we're an idiocracy.
Yeah, it's a really bad look. She's ridiculous. And remember,
this is a person who is 1,000% behind the Zio state, through a conniption fit on Piers Morgan. You know, that time that you're an anti-Semite. Piers, I am going to leave if you don't deal with this person who's making me feel bad. So she's just
a princess. She's a princess, but she's also looks so put off by having to do this.
Well, Matt Gaetz,
an interview sitting like that.
Well, Matt Gaetz is going to explain this as he recently sat down with Tucker Carlson, why this is such a big issue and why people like Katie Miller are able to do this, why she is with no credentials of any order, of any level that would warrant her sitting down with the Speaker of the House. This is one of the reasons why there is so much of this blackmail that goes on and how they get all of Congress under their thumb.
Opt to silence me. And Israel was involved. And I hate to say that. I was shocked to learn it. But there was a consulate official.
Okay, this is amazing. So this is the charge that you were like trafficking underage girls.
Absurd. And
I don't even know what the charge was, but that was the headline. Matt Gaetz traffics underage women. It's like, oh my gosh, can't talk to Matt Gaetz anymore.
Well, for us, the shocking moment was when my father, who's a prominent person in our community, got outreach from someone he had never met that said that there were pictures and images of me with underage prostitutes, and my dad needed to meet with these people right away. And so my dad, somewhat surprised and concerned, goes and talks to these people and says, "What in the world are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, Mr. Gaetz, we need $25 million from you to go and rescue a spy that is being held in Iran. And if you do that, we can make these things about your son go away."
Now think about how common that type of behavior probably is on Capitol Hill. How many lives get ruined? And, you know, Matt Gaetz's father was I think he is, I think his father is in elected office now. I think his name is Ron Gaetz, if I remember correctly. I think that's his name. Or I could be.
No, this was an extortion situation. And, you know, and for the record, I remember at the time we talked about this when this was the news about Gaetz. And I was always very suspect of the whole thing because, and he even says, it's like nobody has charged him in any such a way where there's an actual charge or anything where he has the means of questioning a witness. There is no thing there. It's you just put it out there in the ether and then it just sort of takes its own flight. And it never was a thing, which isn't to say that he might not be lechy and creepy. I don't know. But child sex trafficking was what they were sort of trying to make it sound. And I always thought that sounded ridiculous.
Yeah. And I see Miss Ritchie just put this in the chat. Tucker actually had him on back in 2021. He tried to talk about it then. Tucker didn't seem to believe him. I mean, again, at the time, this was on Fox News. And it's also before Tucker. I mean, again, anything prior to October 7th, I'm not saying it's a free pass for a lot of these guys, but there's no question that those who may have suspected that there was indecent behavior on part of the Zio lobby that was going on was something that was just kind of a known thing. I don't think a lot of them knew the depths to which they were willing to go to harm people. And that's why we're going to eventually get into it regarding Leslie Wexner, which I think he's the key figure in the whole Epstein story. Trump is nothing compared to somebody like Wexner. So therein lies what I think is the big issue here when you see somebody like Mike Johnson have to sit down. Why would Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, have to sit down with somebody like Katie Miller?
Why is she the menu of the interview? Like, are you saying like whatever happened to Barbara Walters and the like? Is that what you're wondering? Or whatever happened to people like
Helen Thomas?
Well, we know what happened to people like that. Like anybody credible has been long since banished from those seats, which is why there's no actual journalist. You only get friends of empire to sit in those seats and ask prescribed questions. Like that's it.
Exactly.
Which was crazy and wild. We did what any reasonable people would do. We went to the FBI and said that we were being extorted by these folks with their false claims. And we later learned that this consulate official working for the Israeli government was sending text messages to Scott Adams, of all people, the Dilbert cartoonist, saying they were expecting my father to furnish this $25 million payment and that would be evidence of my consciousness of guilt.
For the American FBI agent grabbed on an Iranian island maybe 18 or 19 years ago.
And I don't know anything about this person. I don't know if the person's dead or alive, but it was troubling and concerning to me that someone who was getting paid by the Israeli government was involved in a criminal shakedown of a U.S. congressman.
Yes, that should be troubling to everybody.
And he's probably one of several. I mean, who knows? Remember, Matt Gaetz, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, they had their own version of the squad. They had Marjorie Taylor Greene, they had Lauren Boebert, they had Matt Gaetz, and they had that Madison Cawthorn guy in North Carolina. Anytime you're a featured player, if you will, a noted figure on, news media, social media, independent media, you have a target on your back if you're not walking the line. And in the case of Matt Gaetz, he was definitely not walking the line. It was obvious that he wasn't. And he was one of the only Republican Congress members who was talking actively about single-payer health care. So when somebody like him starts walking that line of maybe we're not as divided as we think we are, and he's a key figure in making something like that happen, well, naturally, you know what's going to happen. They're going to either find something on him that they can exploit into something much bigger than what it really is, or they'll just make it up. Why not?
Or somewhere in between, or a little of both. I mean, no, I don't think Matt Gaetz is a pedo. I don't think that. And I don't know what he's involved in, but it's, if there were something, then file charges, okay, have claimants, have witnesses, have victim statements, have some evidence. There's no lawsuits have been filed civilly. So if there's something there, present something or shut up.
And someone went to jail for this. The person who conveyed this message to my father pled guilty to the attempted fraud. And surprisingly, there was never really an effort to figure out what the government of Israel's involvement was in this matter.
But you know that the government of Israel was involved because this was an Israeli government official who was involved in this?
Yes, a person who, his name's Jake Novak. I think he currently works for Real America's Voice. And he sent text messages.
What?
Yeah, that's the name of the official. And he sent messages to Scott Adams saying that he was involved in this scheme that was later deemed a criminal scheme to shake down my family.
So what
based on
happened
these
to
false
him?
allegations. He got a television show.
Come on now.
That's the whole thing about failing upward.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you did your job. Now we're going to give you a TV show. Hey, Katie Miller, thank you for being Goebbels' significant other and doing everything you can to help aid and abet the state of Israel. Now we're going to give you a prominent position on television. It does kind of go together like a fine fit puzzle, doesn't it?
Well, people that are in her position, you never know why they're in there. Is it because they just bought their way in? Is it because they demanded that they be in that position, or somebody above someone's pay grade said you will hire this person? Like, I mean, there's nothing about her that screams that she has a skill set that got her to where she is, right? Like, nothing in particular. And yeah, guys, this was not about doing a dissertation on Matt Gaetz's, Lecce activities.
No, guys, this is the thing. You're also caught up in this idea that Matt Gaetz did this, Matt Gaetz did that. You guys don't know shit about what goes on behind those closed doors in Congress. You only know about him because he got out of line. There are so many other people, so much more worse and depraved, but they do what they're told. And when you do what you're told, it's like dead men tell no tales. You don't know what goes on. You don't know of any of these things, but you better believe that if any of them ever got out of line, those skeletons would fly out of the closet so fast you wouldn't even know what to do. That's the whole thing about the Epstein files being as long as it is, because in the end, it is one nation under blackmail. Now, of course, there are people that are doing the blackmail, but there's no question that Matt Gaetz, who I'm sure has done some shady stuff, he's no saint. We're not here to say that he is. But do you think for 1 second that he wouldn't still be in Congress if he wasn't doing exactly what he's told? You bet your ass he'd still be there.
Didn't know any of this. I'm not playing dumb. I really didn't know that. Have you ever talked to him about it?
I have attempted to figure out, because obviously I still have a lot of unanswered questions about why he was working for a foreign government and trying to shake down my family.
Well, what's the answer, do you think?
Well, some have shared with me their concern that this was a consequence of some of the votes and positions I took in the Congress. I represented one of the most military-heavy districts in the entire country.
I think number one.
Yeah, right up there. And I saw these wars in the Middle East that my neighbors and friends had fought in as unworthy of our best, unworthy of the disruptions in parenting and the divorces and the injuries,
suicides. Yeah.
And so I took the position that we should be less entangled in these things, and I think that really shocked a number of people who thought I would be more of a neocon coming from the district I came from.
So I live in Matt Gaetz's district, and it is as military heavy as you can imagine. I happen to live right by the biggest Air Force base in the world, Eglin Air Force Base. And most of my neighbors are all in the service. And it is admirable to have had a congressional representative who wasn't trying to send them all off to die. That's actually rare. Remember, it's called peace through strength for a reason. And before Tulsi got her mind right, she used to say the same thing. And so now war just becomes interesting. Miss Ritchie commenting here. I knew Matt Gaetz in college. He liked the ladies, but he also had a very contrarian streak. That's why I think they're worried about him. He's harder to control than most politics. That's it. That's the whole point.
And it is because he is a Nepo baby and because he has privilege. When you have privilege, you're able to do that because you know that you have a safety net. He knows that he could say what he wants because at the end of the day, he's going to be safe with his family and his safety net. So yes, that's the privilege. But that would also put him more in a class traitor category. And we have to have a certain amount of respect for that. So yeah, if he's a Nepo baby and he's using that position to speak out against the military industrial complex, then that's somebody that, that's on our team as far as getting out of war.
Yeah. And this is exactly why we can't allow ourselves to get caught up in whether or not somebody checks all of the boxes all at once every single time. That's always the biggest issue. There are way too many people that think that that's the measure that we must go by. Oh, look, this Matt Gaetz said this, or he did, or he was a Trump aide, whatever. Again, Thomas Massie is probably one of the most conservative, truly conservative representatives in all of Congress. And yet, he is probably the most honest actor we have on Capitol Hill. So what does that tell you? The whole system, the whole dynamic, everything is shaking at its foundation. We are not in any type of a traditional system anymore. The whole thing is changing. And we have to break bread with whoever we can to help facilitate that change. So I bring this up because when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, and everybody is so caught up in so many different aspects of the story, to me, there's one key component to the Epstein story, in my opinion. I'm sure you have yours. But I do believe that if there is one component that truly stands above the rest, it's who was the person that really allowed Epstein to maneuver throughout this country and act as a field agent, if you will, for the Mossad. Epstein was rich, but he wasn't rich because he did anything grandiose that made him that. He did his assignments and he was given money to facilitate. So in a way, he was rich on paper, but he wasn't really rich because he didn't actually produce or create anything.
We've talked about this, right? Like we've covered this to some extent. It's been a while since we've gone over this, but you're talking about the guy who basically gave him his entire financial backstory.
Correct.
It started his career in where he came out of not even graduating college and being a teacher. And then the next thing you know, he's in high finance with all these people.
Well, the reason why this has become a hot button topic again is because of this. Wexner named in released Epstein email about co-conspirators in sex trafficking case. Now, if you want to know where the real issue lies, it's who was actually calling the shots and who was actually producing the money and who was working directly with the Mossad. And that person is Leslie Wexner. Now, for those who are not familiar with Mr. Wexner and what his background is, and again, this should come as no surprise when you consider that so much of what the Epstein files on the surface has been about is uncovering we'll just call it the ruling class. You could say it's the billionaire class, the Zio billionaire class. You could call it all those things. But the fact of the matter is, it is the ruling class. And in the case of Wexner, he is the co-founder of Bath & Body Works, and he is also the principal founder of Abercrombie & Fitch and Victoria's Secret. So when you think about these stories that come out about underage girls and the trafficking and the activity that goes on, this is a person who's very high up on the hog, who never gets talked about. Epstein dominates the headlines, but Wexner is somebody that is considered somewhat of a third rail, that you're not supposed to talk about him. And
that's his financer. That's who bankrolled him in the very beginning when he was getting up and running in this whole little pay for play scheme they have going on with Israel and Blackmail. This is the guy who has the house in Palm Beach right near Epstein's, right?
I have to check if he has, I would guess he has a home in, and you're thinking of Howard Lutnick, but you also have Wexner, who is the richest man in Ohio. He has an absurd compound that he owns in Columbus. And here's a guy who has plenty of dirt under his fingernails. And yet for some reason, he's always been able to skate. There's never been any indictments. This is a person who's worth just under $9 billion with a B. And again, numerous attachments to the State of Israel. So in accordance with an NPR affiliate, newly released, heavily redacted emails from the U.S. Department of Justice investigations into Jeffrey Epstein appear to show the FBI was looking into Ohio billionaire Les Wexner's possible connections to the case. No, actual connections, not possible. Wexner's name appears in an FBI email thread asking for updates on 10 alleged co-conspirators. Wexner is an influential businessman from New Albany whose wealth has made him Ohio's richest man. The email came from the latest drop of the so-called Epstein files from the DOJ after Congress passed a law compelling their release. Thank you, Thomas Massey. Thank you, Rokana. Much of the files are redacted from view. An email dated July 7, 2019 reads, "When you get a chance, can you give me an update on the status of the 10 co-conspirators?" The email sender's name was redacted, but it included a signature line that included FBI New York. Jen, would you like to take over?
Where are you?
Right at the top.
The author of a reply email whose name and address were redacted wrote, "I do not know about Ohio contracting Wexner." The same email contained other names, including Brunel and Maxwell, that apparently referred to Jean-Luc Brunel, the late French model scout. I like model scout as a term instead of child trafficker. Model scout.
Pederast, something like that.
Right, model scout, accused of raping minors, and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. A second email exchange dated July 9th, 2019 appears to be between investigators from an agency's violent crime section for crimes against children human trafficking unit, or the CACTU. The email mentions the 10 co-conspirators again and attempts to contact each. The email mentions a wealthy businessman in Ohio that hadn't yet been served a subpoena. I wonder who that could be.
Now, can you put on your attorney hat for a minute and explain to the audience?
All right, hold on.
Okay, you got a hat. You got a special hat to put on. There you go. Can you explain to the audience why the rich and powerful are able to skirt the law in this capacity, where they actually are able to avoid any type of subpoena request?
Oh, well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, you mean as a whole, I mean, this goes way deep. This goes to, well, we only criminalize crimes of poverty. We don't really criminalize rich people crimes. Rich people can afford to have a defense that will keep it entangled and suppressed, and they'll squash witnesses and all this stuff, right? So there's no point. And at the end of the day, they'll buy their way out of it.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's the whole concept of, I can afford to get out of this. I have all the money in the world. I can delay this. I can kick the can down the road. I can get continuance after continuance. And by the time, like I said, in some of these cases, they delay it, the continuances for so long that by the time there actually is any justice, the person's already dead. Like,
there's no wealthy people are not held accountable. They're not.
Not in this country.
And by wealthy, I don't mean people that just do really well for a living. I mean people that don't work for a living.
Correct.
Wealthy.
Well, people work for them and they make the money.
Correct. Right.
Again, just a new form of modern day slavery. That's what
exactly.
Wexner's legal representative said in a statement that the assistant U.S. attorney in charge of the Epstein investigation said at the time that Wexner was not a co-conspirator nor a target in any respect. The statement said Wexner cooperated fully by providing background info on Epstein. Never contacted again. That's a lie. Wexner and Epstein's friendship dates back to the late 1980s when Epstein was introduced to Wexner's financial advisor. The New York Times reported this month that despite warnings, Wexner then hired Epstein to be his new financial advisor. I wonder why. Epstein allegedly siphoned wealth from the billionaire for decades. Wexner founded The Limited, Abercrombie & Fitch, Bath & Body Works, and Victoria's Secret.
All of that just seems so much more disgusting now.
Oh,
I mean, it always was definitely capitalistic and somewhat unsavory in that regard, but it's, now linked to the sex trafficking thing, right?
All
Like
of
it's so gross. All
Yeah,
of
but
it.
but it's not surprising. That's the point. It's not surprising. Records show Epstein continued as Wexner's money manager, or excuse me, Wexner has appeared in several new photos in the newly released files. Wexner claims to have cut ties with Epstein after he was charged in Florida with solicitation of prostitution and solicitation of prostitution with a minor under the age of 18. Records show Epstein continued as Wexner's money manager as late as mid-2007 when Epstein's foundation gave $2.5 million from Wexner's charitable foundations to the Ohio State University. I'm not a Buckeye fan. I'm an Irish fan.
I like Buckeyes though. The treats. There's treats. The little Buckeyes. They're cookies. They're peanut
You
butter
like
chocolate
Bucky's.
cookies.
That's what it's about.
No, not Bucky's. Buckeyes. Buckeyes are little chocolate peanut butter ball cookie treats.
Bring us home, please.
Epstein was charged again in 2019 and died. He died.
Yeah, sort of.
In August 2019 by suicide. Yeah. In his jail cell a month after these emails were sent. Wexner once chaired the Ohio State University Board of Trustees, the Columbus Partnership, and had membership in prominent organizations. Wow. Wexner is now the chair of the Ohio State University's Wexner Medical Center Board of Trustees. He didn't appear at the board's December meeting.
Isn't it amazing how these billionaire criminals love to have shit named after them? Like they're so enamored.
I'm very familiar with these types of people. And yes, they very much like to have stuff with their names on it and get invited to dedications and ribbon cuttings and all sorts of stuff where they get to like present how philanthropic they are, how giving they are.
Oh, yes. Now, why do I think that this is a big deal? Why is this story a big deal? I'll tell you why. Because it does appear that the walls may finally be closing in on Leslie Wexner. And in my opinion, Trump is nothing compared to this guy. This guy's the real power player. Senator Lowell of Ohio, who I believe represents Columbus, represents the area that covers where Leslie Wexner lives. And credit to the rooster who confronted him at a recent Republican meeting.
Senator Brenner. Yeah. We agree. Our beautiful Buckeyes, right? The beautiful Buckeye football team. We're big fans, correct?
Yes.
What do you say about Leslie Wexner sharing the same facility name? It's the Les Wexner Football Center at the Woody Hayes Athletic Complex.
What about it?
Should Wexner's name come down, knowing what we know as
What do we know?
that Wexner has a decades-long friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, the
So did
disgrace.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that's fine. We can get Bill Clinton on the.
You know,
Yeah,
I
exactly. Take his name off of shit too.
You know, I love when they bring up my name because they think that that's a shield, but I got to tell you, it's not working like it used to. I maybe have finally run out of real estate myself.
But we're in Ohio. We're in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio.
I think if
Bill
something
Clinton's
were to
name.
come out that would show Les Wexner knew things were going on, then it should be removed.
Did you
Unless
did
that
you see
happened,
did you
then
see the
that's-
letter that he wrote?
No.
So he wrote a personalized birthday card for Wexner for Epstein's 50th birthday party. It's a book, and if you look at it, it's everybody in
I'd
the.
have to take a look at it.
Okay, well, it's a letter where everybody makes overt references to his sexual depravity, right? In it, Wexner says, "I couldn't get you what you wanted in this letter, so here you go." And it's a female breast, and it's signed by Wexner himself. Decades-long relationship.
No, that's not minors.
You've got.
If there were something connected where it showed him with minors and doing something
Well,
like that,
he's
then I would
running.
say yes.
So, he was a trustee with Dr. Strauss scandal, correct? For the last 10 years of the Dr. Strauss scandal.
He may have been.
He also handpicked Mike Jeffries, the former Abercrombie CEO, who's been since
If you want to
indicted.
forward me the stuff, I'll take a look at it.
Here's what I will say. Here's the one thing that I will say. I actually don't mind the way that Senator Brenner is answering these questions. For one, he's not running away, because most of these guys don't even want to be addressed. And you're talking about a state senator trying to legally challenge the most powerful man, not just in Ohio, but one of the most powerful men in the entire country.
You mean a
And-
U.S. senator, not a state senator?
Well, but what he's basically saying is, give me something that I could stick to his ass, and I'll take care of it. I will pressure the attorney general to file charges against him. Okay, that's better than saying, oh, that's all hogwash. It's like, show me something that's attached to kids, and I'll give it to you. So we'll finish this out.
Okay, but he's been indicted for sexual trafficking, interstate prostitution. So that's the trifecta. Wexner.
That's not good.
Wexner is currently dodging subpoena service in the Dr. Strauss lawsuit.
I think I did see that.
Yeah. So, why won't he sit down and talk? And if he's not going to sit down and talk,
he should.
He should. And should his name be on the football facility?
I think unless there's some proof that he did something that was really bad, then I
So
would say
what if I told
it's up
you
to Ohio State?
I'll leave you with this, and I'll get your last comment. The Wexner facility, that name was put up there with Woody Hayes, the most prestigious name in university history. $5 million donation. 2.5 came from his wife. The other 2.5 came from Jeffrey Epstein, his foundation with Giselle Maxwell. 2.5.
If you want to forward that to me, I'll look at it and I'll contact the trustees.
I'm giving you the heads up because there's a storm coming.
Well, then that's a problem for him if that's the case.
Yeah.
There's a storm coming.
And he's right, there is. So credit to Senator Brennan for at least being somewhat cognizant of what's going on here. Because as we continue to peel back the onion, you're now hearing somebody, and the reason we bring this all full circle regarding the Epstein files, guys, Senator Brennan actually has the power to do something about Leslie Wexner, who is the person behind Jeffrey Epstein. And I've been listening to this for the past several years, and it's almost as if Wexner never, ever gets addressed. And we wonder why. It's the person who doesn't get addressed that really has the power. Everybody wants to throw it at Trump and say that he's the reason. I'm not saying he's innocent because he's clearly not. But if there is a guilty party who truly was in control of all of this, it was Leslie Wexner. And it may appear that he may have finally run out of ways to go. Now, hopefully they can do this sooner rather than later because Wexner is 88 years old and who knows how much longer he's going to last.
That's the thing. These people always live longer or, too long. They never see justice.
Well,
people like that.
You know what? With our esteemed guest coming in, I wonder if she would disagree. Because I do think that while justice seems to have eluded many people at a time or two, I do think we're heading in a direction now where justice may be possible. But the only reason it's possible is because we are figuring out that we have to collectively work together to make it so.
Oh, I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't know that we all agree as to what justice is. That's the other thing. We all have varying degrees in our head as to what would constitute justice.
Well, let's speak with Nerdeen Kiswani about that because I think she has a pretty good idea. She is a Palestinian American activist and organizer and the co-founder and chair of Within Our Lifetime, a pro-Palestine activist group in the greatest city in the world, New York City, and somebody who knows a thing or two about what it's going to take for Zohran Mamdani to have a successful run as mayor of New York City. Nerdeen, welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me on. And it's just been so interesting, even just watching you the past couple of minutes, talk about this and the road to justice, which, despite all of our, differences in what we may think of it, I mean, I think it's a constant struggle. It's not a linear thing. And, this Epstein stuff absolutely connects to, what is going on in Palestine, what we see Israel doing. I mean, I think about all the innocent victims here who were, just had their lives derailed, were sexually abused by, all of these disgusting perpetrators, and connecting that to the Palestinian children in Israeli jails that are also being sexually abused. And it's part and parcel, of the same system. And I think we're really not going to get the depths of how far this goes for so many years to come. I mean, just all the emails that are being combed through, but also the micro connections that a lot of people don't talk about, like the fact that Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's father, it was a member of Bitar, the, you know, brown shirt, Jabotinsky founded paramilitary organization that's now functioning in New York, that offered people $1,800 to give me a beeper, right? Referencing like the Lebanon beeper attacks, or even the fact that, you know, the Maxwell family is also, you know, behind all of these textbooks that we get at our schools for children that are like, you know, basically just prioritizing certain education, right? Teaching us that like the Holocaust is the only genocide, the only red line, as if genocide wasn't coined, or that term wasn't coined initially for the Armenian genocide that's never talked about, and so many other genocides, overlooking, you know, the Islamic golden age and so many things, really conditioning people in the US to see, you know, Muslims as these like barbarians, and really priming this generation or multiple generations of students to support, you know, Zionist colonization of Palestine, to support wars abroad. I mean, it just goes so deep. And I think justice isn't just when 1 or 2 or 3 or however many people are convicted and thrown in jail for their atrocities, but also, you know, undoing these systems, right? Freeing all these Palestinian prisoners, children, and, you know, grown men and women that are being sexually abused daily. And, you know, redoing our entire education system, which makes this possible to begin with. So there's just so much to discuss on this. I mean, everyone knows about the connections with Epstein and Barack. You know, everyone knows about the possibility of him, you know, I mean, it's pretty clear having ties to Israeli intelligence, but it's really these micro details that are seldom discussed. And I think, you know, one thing that should always be on the tip of our tongue is Palestine, and connecting that to the, you know, Epstein case as well.
Yeah, well, I think, wait, I just wanted, before I forget it.
I just wanted to point out that you two are matching this evening. I just wanted
Well, we have good taste. So, you know, I mean, this is one of those moments where we are really able to see the interconnectedness and the fact that this is a global situation, right? There is this cabal of global elites that are controlling all of it. And they're all connected. The countries are just like these made up lines, right? That they just say whatever. They don't care. They don't care if the girls that they're trafficking are from Romania or they're from here. They don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They're invested in all of it equally. And that is why, I mean, so when we talk about, for me, it's like anything else. It's triage, right? And right now, Palestine is what is critical, but it is all part of this global system of oppression. And for the most part, it's class-based in terms of like, you know, coming together to get out of it. It's class-based globally. I mean, that's how I see it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Palestine really is the litmus tests. It exposes so many people. And, you know, ultimately, if you look at Palestine, if you're opposed to what's going on there, it really exposes you to so many of these things. Like me having, being critical of capitalism at an early age, of colonization, of all these things, is because I grew up as a Palestinian and I was already deeply aware of all of these things. And it just points you in the right direction. And that's not to say it's the most important or the only cause or the only genocide. We know that there's suffering happening everywhere, but you know, who's selling those weapons to other countries, to other dictatorships that are taking that out on their people? Who's selling the spyware? Who's developing the spyware? Literally, Gaza is a lab, right? The people of Gaza have been treated as lab rats, as lab mice by Israel in order to expand their weapons and intelligence technology and create these systems of oppression that they export all around the globe. At the end of the day, these borders, they only apply to us. They don't apply to the elite. They get to do whatever they want. Epstein had how many passports, how many fake identities that he can, you know, that he was able to use, you know, to blackmail and do whatever else he was, you know, with all of these global elites, while their people, you know, continue to suffer.
I want to ask you, as a Palestinian American, who's from New York, and obviously we know what your childhood was like following 9/11. It was probably very dire. Do you see a difference in terms of the average American's attitude, not just towards Israel, but towards Muslims in general, has shifted in the last 20 plus years? Do you feel a difference? Is it a change is in the air, comparatively speaking, since then?
I mean, you know, I was in second grade when 9/11 happened, and I actually went to an Islamic school in Brooklyn, a full-time Islamic school, not just like a weekend situation, but, you know,
like day school, like you went to Islamic day school.
Exactly, in Brooklyn. So, you know, I got the benefits of being around like-minded people where I didn't face that discrimination so directly in a daily sense, but I did see it in that, you know, I knew so many Muslim women who were afraid to wear hijab, had to take their hijab off following 9/11. People were putting up, you know, American flags outside of their homes to kind of signal, you know, that they're against this, even though, you know, they had nothing to do with it. And so, you know, we grew up as a part of a generation where people were targeted for wearing hijabs. You know, we were called terrorists in the streets sometimes. You know, I did go to public school for a little bit in New York as well. So, you know, I experienced that directly where in history class, you know, students and even the teacher would just like straight up say, yes, the reason we went to Iraq was like because they hated us for our freedom. And that's why these things happen and we have to fight back. And I'm like, this is literally a historical. The teacher would contradict me when I said like the US killed 1 million people in Iraq, even though this was like an objective fact. And I graduated high school in 2012, but like they were literally still teaching us race science here in New York, believe it or not.
You gotta understand. We had to fight back, and it was necessary. So I told him we're gonna get that freedom, and we're gonna bring it to him.
I mean, I think that I felt from 9/11 up until I would say October 23 that there was marked improvements in the Islama hate. Okay, at least outward, you know, as a parent Islama hate, I do think that it did sort of like wane after the 9/11, you know, that, but I actually think it's now coming back, and it's coming back with a vengeance. But we're seeing a situation where the same people are simultaneously fueling legitimate Jew hate and Islama hate at the same time because of what they're doing. The same people are prompting hate against both those people.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's true. But also even prior to October 7, if you look at who proliferated Islamophobic hate in the US, a lot of it was coming from Zionist organizations to begin with, because you know, they know that that helps their cause. So now they're going into overdrive. So I do feel it got a little bit better prior to October 7 because it became more sophisticated. And, you know, it's like a pendulum. You know, we know how this goes. Like things were getting more woke, and, you know, people were like becoming more broadly accepting of Muslims. But because I was a Palestinian and I wore my kufiya, right? Like you wear a kufiya, you'll get hate crimed, or you'll get attacked, or you'll get, you know, just all these things hurled at you for being a Muslim because you're wearing a kufiya. But if you just wore the hijab without that, you know, you may not face that so directly. So I think, like, again, Palestine kind of brings out these hidden things that they try to hide behind, that they try to act like, you know, we've grown past Islamophobia, we've grown past racism and all these things. But if you have the wrong political opinion, then all hell breaks loose.
Right. They're not hating you because you're Muslim. They hate you because you're Palestinian. Make sure you understand the difference between those two things.
Can you explain what within our lifetime's mission is? And do you see a situation where having Zohran in the mayor's mansion could potentially have some benefit? I know everyone wants to believe that we can make change through electoral politics. And while I do believe elections matter, that's not where the change is going to come from. The change is going to come from the streets. Now, the question is, does this turn into a sort of FDR/Nixon type situation where it's like, hey, look, I'd like to not have to do this, but you see all those people out there, they're demanding change and we're going to have to do something. So what is the sort of the baseline of your organization, what you're hoping to accomplish? And do you see Zohran facilitating any bit of that agenda?
I mean, this is a perfect segue of everything we were just talking about, because concept of within our lifetime, even through its name, is that, you know, we want to achieve Palestinian liberation, not in some distant future, but as something that, you know, we're working towards today. Because growing up in the Palestinian Muslim community in New York, you know, we always knew like freedom of Palestine is inevitable, but we act like it's not possible in our lifetime. It's going to happen several generations from now. And that's something that, you know, we wanted to change, particularly growing up in a post 9/11 US where, you know, as AP reports exposed that the NYPD was spying on Muslims for decades. You know, people were disappeared off of the streets of New York City and thrown in Guantanamo without even being given a fair trial and all of these things. There was a stigma about talking about politics, talking about political opinions, and particularly Palestine, because even prior to 9/11, you know, saying that you were Palestinian in the US in some spaces, especially in New York, is like saying you were a terrorist, essentially.
Yes. Where I live, I'm in South Florida. You might as well just say you're,
exactly.
You might as well be ISIS.
Exactly. I mean, even prior to people projecting that on all Arabs and all Muslims, it was hyper projected, you know, onto Palestinians. And so, you know, I remember being in college, and the Muslim student associations would literally have signs up that say, like, you're not allowed to talk about politics. And that's because they were literally afraid of surveillance, because reports came out that they were being surveilled, that the NYPD were joining these student organizations, infiltrating these student organizations, and, you know, trying to entrap people and things like that. And so, you know, I didn't think that the Palestinian cause was something that we needed to be so secretive about. You know, the less that we talk about these things, the less that we educate our community, the more ripe they become to things like entrapment and, you know, really isolating the Palestinian struggle into something, you know, that is this like terrible secret, when in reality, I mean, you take any anti-colonial class in college, you know, even human rights. I majored in, you know, human rights and international law. It felt like, hey, a lot of these things, you could apply it to our side, and you can absolutely make a case for the liberation of the Palestinian people, and not within even like a two-state paradigm, but, you know, a full liberated Palestine from the river to the sea. And yeah, I mean, Zionists try to use this as a gotcha against us. Yes, when I say river to the sea, I mean all of Palestine is Palestinian land. Christians, Jews, and Muslims could live there, as they did prior to the state of Israel being created in 1948. There was peace. What changed? State of Israel being created has no right to exist. So, you know, I stand by all of that. And so we wanted to revitalize that revolutionary spirit of Palestinians living in exile, to be able to talk about our struggle once again. Because when I really came out in our community, people couldn't believe, you know, the things that I was saying. These were all conversations that we were having, you know, at our homes, on dinner tables, things like that. But people just didn't feel comfortable saying them out loud. But, you know, this new generation, we didn't have these accents that people could easily demonize us with. We had our education, we had international law to cite, and all of these different things to make us be able to come out and speak about Palestine without being afraid of what they were going to malign us with. What's the worst you can call me? The big bad T word. You guys were calling us that for no reason when we were children. You know, you made us immune to it. So, I mean, that was the whole point of it. And yeah, I mean, I do think with Zohran Mamdani situation, it's really kind of like a pick your opponent, right? And I definitely think he's a much better opponent to have than Cuomo, who, you know, I also organized against when he was governor, and Eric Adams and every other, you know, option we have. But, you know, I think the opponent part is still there. You know, whoever is controlling the NYPD, whoever's appeasing Zionists, right? He's not necessarily an ally of the Palestinian movement in that way. He's the mayor of New York City. And in order to gain any concessions from him, we have to keep the pressure up, right? If only Zionists keep the pressure up, he's only going to concede to one side. So, you know, we've been seeing, unfortunately, a lot of people who want to shield him from any criticism or any accountability, rather than understand that our role as a movement is to continue to pressure him. And that's why within our lifetime, put together a statement signed by over 100 different community organizations, including multiple DSA, which he hails from, DSA chapters and caucuses, to demand him to drop the Zionist billionaire heiress, Tish, as police commissioner. I mean, that's one of the most consequential things that he can do as mayor. They say a lot of things are out of his hands. It's up to Albany. I don't know if he can do free buses or childcare. That's up to Albany, right? But that's his prerogative to completely choose his own police commissioner, something that every single administration has done. It's not expected to keep on, a previous police commissioner. And so even if they forced his hand when it comes to this, we also have to show that there's like a group of people, that there are thousands of people, majority of New Yorkers calling for Tish to be removed. And we're not the only ones. I mean, the other day, a union of over 3,500 public defenders, legal workers, the ALAA, they also put out their own statement in addition to signing ours, demanding that he drop the Zionist police commissioner Tish. I mean, her brother literally said that Zohran Mamdani was an enemy of the Jews, and this was after he put her up as police commissioner. So they're telling us, and they're telling him how they feel about him every day. The least we can do is kind of return that favor and make her, I mean, she would call us anti-Semitic for wearing these. She said that keffiyehs were anti-Semitic, that watermelons were an anti-Semitic symbol. And, it's not like she's even somebody who's widely loved by the NYPD. She was never a beat cop. She was an intelligence, person within the NYPD that developed a lot of the spying on Muslims that I was referencing, earlier in the conversation. So, I mean, the only people that she is there to serve is Zionists and the ruling class, the very people that, within the primary he ran against and won him that primary. And so, we have to keep the pressure on him with things like Jessica Tish, with things like, dismantling the Cornell Technion partnership, which literally develops weapons for Israel, that he kind of, walked back on. So, we're already seeing, concessions here and there, as we see with all of these electoral strategies, where they say it's like 50D chess to given to Zionists for some reason during a genocide, when if anything, this is the best time now, while the iron is hot, to strike and demand as much of a sidestep, or as much of a severing of ties with Zionism and that old order of politics that people are just sick and tired of, that took a genocide for many people to see and speak out about.
I agree. I mean, I think that, people have definitely gotten sick of it, but yeah, you guys definitely need to keep his feet to the fire, in a sense. Like, they need to keep hearing how dissatisfied people are with Tish still being his person. And I would suggest the fact that she's still there, to me, indicates that he is ultimately compromised. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's somebody really deep on the inside with a lot of power that is in a very, to me, as long as she's there, he's compromised. We
address this fact that of all the decisions he could have made, the fact that he's not willing to challenge Tish was a very bad sign. It's not just the fact that they are despicable, filthy Zionists. It's also the fact that they spent millions of dollars to try to defeat him. And I understand that there's this, well, you make friends with your enemies. This is not an enemy that you make friends with, because this enemy wants you dead and wants anybody in their way basically removed. And this is what's happened. And this is a very good segue to the other side of the world where your family is from. Today is the 3-year anniversary of the last time that Christmas was celebrated in Palestine. Obviously, this is, I believe this is from the West Bank, but it is remembering the fact that the Holy Family Church, which is, I believe its extraction is also part Greek Orthodox, was bombed by Israel. Shocking. They bomb everything. It doesn't matter. In this case, I would say it's at least somewhat cathartic to see that some change has happened that's positive, but we're going to get to the Santa story in a second. So this was earlier today on the, I believe, in the streets of the West Bank.
I'm fascinated with this. I had no idea they had bagpipes like that. Like, is that I mean, now I feel completely ignorant. I mean, I obviously know what bagpipes are, but is that a common thing in Palestine? Is bagpipes?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen that, myself in person in Jerusalem, in Palestine.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, I shouldn't be so surprised, because the truth is, it's like indigenous instruments are indigenous instruments on many different continents. So whether it's like, Celtic, Britain, Viking based or whatever, but I never knew that. That was really cool.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was just going to say it's beautiful, to see those celebrations. And like you said, in years past, archbishops and Christian leadership in Palestine have called for Christians around the world not to celebrate Christmas in previous years because of what's been going on in Gaza, the genocide. And this is a call that Christian organizations that we work with, Palestinian Christian organizations, heeded, and that we took upon ourselves in New York in previous years, where we went to the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting and had protests on those days, on Christmas Day, right, in solidarity with our Christian brothers and sisters. And now we see Canary Mission and all these Zionist organizations trying to put this myth of like Judeo-Christian values, being like, oh, the Muslims are like trying to ruin your Christmas, when it's actually in solidarity with the birthplace of Christianity, that we were trying to call attention to the genocide of the Palestinian people. And one image that sticks in my head that I'll never forget is, at the beginning of the genocide, we saw how those NICU babies in Gaza hospitals were literally left to rot because they shut the power off and they would not let them evacuate those babies. And so in Bethlehem, at their nativity scene, they had, Jesus as a NICU baby that was, rotting in those, machines.
Well, that would be fine. I mean, he was, Jesus was Palestinian, so nobody would be protecting him. And he was not even just Palestinian, but like, what do you call it? Emigrating from a war-torn oppression situation and like fleeing and being like an immigrant, basically. So he'd be like an illegal Palestinian.
He'd be blocked by the apartheid wall.
Right. He'd be arrested by he'd be arrested by ICE coming in here.
Well, as beautiful as that is to see, and of course I am partial to bagpipes, considering part of my background, I will definitely say that leave it to Israel to always figure out a way to ruin things, because that's what they do best. And in this case, they decided that Israeli forces detained Santa Claus in raid of Palestinian Christmas celebration, because why not? From the Middle East Eye, which I think is one of the best publications out there. Sorry, Al Jazeera, but Middle East Eye's got you. It's been one-upping you. Al Jazeera flagged us. So from now on, it's like, okay, that's how you want it. Middle East Eye's going to get it then. And this photo is just so telling, because, again, there's this perception that, oh, all Palestinians are Muslims, or like the story we covered the other day of that Zionist rabbi who was confronted by Medea Benjamin in the Capitol, and he referred to the Palestinian woman as the Arab that talked to me. I mean, the dehumanization of your people knows no bounds, and this case is no different. Israeli police arrested a Palestinian man dressed as Santa Claus during a raid on a Christmas celebration. So it's in Haifa, so Gaza, earlier this week, with a local rights group has said. Police forcibly dispersed festivities held by...
Wait, where is it? It's in Haifa. So that's in Ziohel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's in 48. It's
that's not Palestinian territory.
It's in the state of Israel.
What part of the Hunger Games is that in, Jen?
Yeah.
No. Point is that Haifa is coastal. It's Ziohel. It's just it's their second largest city, I believe.
Yeah, but it does have like, it is still considered, to us as a Palestinian town. Lots of Palestinians live there, but yes, it's in the so-called state of Israel. Now it's not in the West Bank or Gaza.
It's one of the, isn't it I think it's the city in Ziohel with one of the largest Palestinian population still, because it was always sort of a mixed city in that way. It's one of the few places that is kind of like a mixture now.
Yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of, Palestinians in Gaza are originally from places like Jaffa and Haifa, because they wanted to depopulate the coastal cities, the hilltops, and that's where, you know, a lot of the refugees ended up there. But yeah, it's in so-called Israel now. But I've been to Haifa. It's still a lot of Palestinian restaurants there. But they do have Israeli passports, the Palestinians who live there.
According to the Masawa Center, an organization advocating for the rights of Palestinian citizens of Israel, police use excessive force, and I'm sure it was quite excessive, while detaining the man dressed as Santa Claus as well as a DJ and a street vendor. Masawa said police also raided a music institute without legal authorization. This is just, to me, it's emblematic of the entire problem here. And I believe there is a little bit more to this story. So let's see.
They arrested Santa Claus.
Okay.
They arrested Santa Claus.
They arrested Santa Claus. Well, you know what? Yeah, it's like, well, as a New Yorker and somebody who, again, I'm from Jersey and I'm a Giants fan, I always hold this over the Eagles fans. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. And everyone always associates the Eagles football fans with throwing snowballs at Santa Claus as a mark on their not so good reputation as fans overall. So now Israel can have this attached to them forever. Now you arrest Santa Claus on Christmas. Very smart. If people didn't hate you enough already, this just adds a whole other layer to it. And I'm sure you've seen the clip of the Palestinian praying and the guy with the quad who just ran him over.
Ran over him, yeah.
And let me tell you, Jen, the IDF decided to come out and be like, well, this guy doesn't work for us anymore. You see, when you're caught that red-handed in front of the camera, they have to say something. There's no way they can't not say anything. So footage shared
He
online.
doesn't work for them anymore, is what they say. See, he should be in jail.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Like the fact that they're just like, somehow we're saying, oh, but yeah, at least he doesn't work for them anymore. That's,
yeah, he killed 50 people, but now we decided.
But he's not working for us anymore. Oh, okay. As long as he's not working for you.
Footage shared online shows Israeli police officers dragging the man dressed as Santa Claus from the scene. Other videos appear to show police interrupting a traditional Dopki dance that was being performed in the street. How would you describe a Dopki dance?
So that's like, I would say, you know, if you're familiar, you mentioned your heritage, bagpipes, I'm assuming Irish connection. So, you know, you see the Irish, what is it called? Yeah, why is the name escaping me right now?
Like the river dance, you know, like the tap dancing, the step dance.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say it's actually very similar. It's very similar to that. You know, I was shocked the first time I saw Irish dancing like that, because it's very similar to Depke dancing. And that's, you know, something that we do at every occasion, every party, every wedding. It's just something that's like a rite of passage for all Palestinians. We all know how to do it. Men, women, you know, we hold hands, and you know, it's like a line dance not a line dance, but
circle.
Yeah, exactly, in that way.
Yeah.
And it's funny that, you know, that you guys bring this up. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Israel, maybe it came out yesterday or earlier today, where they said the only Santa in the entire region, and not just Palestine, you know, they literally mean the entire Middle East, is, you know, quote unquote Israeli. First of all, if he's Christian and he's living there, he's Palestinian. Second of all, that's far from the only Santa. You see Santa on like every street corner in many countries in the Middle East at this time of year. And not to mention, you know, Palestine, where you can find, you know, people dressed up as Santa being arrested for years and years. This is definitely not the first time. And even Palestinians dressed as Santa, throwing rocks to prevent Israeli soldiers from, tanks from entering their villages during, you know, Christmas as well. So it's funny. I guess they wanted to make that tweet true by literally arresting all the other Santa Clauses. So they can say the only one lives in Israel.
Israeli police said they were responding to unusual noise and a disturbance of public order. Yeah, on Christmas.
Do you know that it's as ridiculous as saying, you know, the only real Mickey Mouse lives in Orlando? That's the only real one. The one in Paris isn't the real one. The only real Mickey is in Orlando. That's how absurd that is. Okay.
That actually makes more sense than what they're doing.
The detainees told Masawa they were assaulted during their arrest, and knowing the IDF, that assault could be very, very uncomfortable. One of them sustained a shoulder injury and sought medical treatment after his release. In a statement, police alleged that the man dressed as Santa Claus resisted arrest and assaulted and verbally abused an officer, but of course that's not on film. The insurgent anti-Christian...
I don't believe that.
I don't believe it. Of course not.
I don't believe that.
The arrests come amid increasing harassment and restrictions on Palestinian Christians in Israel and the occupied territories. Anti-Christian hate crimes carried out by ultra-nationalist Israelis have increased in recent years. These have included trespassing at churches in occupied East Jerusalem and the West Bank, spitting at churchgoers, which has been captured on camera, the destruction of Christian symbols, and vandalism of Christian graves. Now, I will say this, and Nerdeen, I'm sure you would agree, even though you and Tucker Carlson are on completely opposite sides of the political spectrum, Tucker has been very adamant about using his platform to address this issue, and it's having profound effects within the Christian Zionist community in this country, which is why they're coming after him with everything they've got, because they know it's having an impact. So when stories like this from the Middle East Eye come out, it's landing. Like, people are saying, oh, so it's not just the Jews, it's the Christians as well. So this is a really serious part of the equation that isn't getting talked about enough. But as we continue, in the Gaza Strip, the small Christian minority has been subjected to Israeli bombardment targeting homes, schools, and churches since October 2023. 3 historic churches, the Church of St. Porphyrius, the Holy Family Church, which was bombed, and the Gaza Baptist Church have suffered severe damage. At least 53 Christians have been killed directly or indirectly during the war, with many others wounded.
Yeah, I mean, this is a common thing, and not just in Gaza. I mean, I hopefully wherever people are introduced to this topic, they can look at the history. I mean, I've been to the, I believe it's called the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem, where, you know, when I went there with my family, the tour guides, I mean, they saw us as like a Muslim family, and they literally like left all of the tourists, all of the European tourists who were coming, Christian tourists who were coming to, you know, basically make pilgrimage or look at that site, and came to us and were like, you know, we can tell you're our Palestinian brothers and sisters, and we'd much rather, you know, spend this time showing you this place and teaching you the history of this place than talking to these Europeans who just want to come, you know, look at this church, and then they don't. Sorry about the background noise. It's just my 6-month-old playing while watching me speak. But, you know, basically who come, you know, look at all of these Christian sites, but don't embody any Christian values because they don't stand with the Palestinian people, right? Like, after they look at that church, they then go tour the Israeli sites and party it up with the Israelis while ignoring the oppression of the Palestinian people. And they showed me how in that church, which is extremely, you know, religiously significant, you know, they say that I think Jesus was born there or something, you know, I'm not 100% sure on my, you know, Christian history, but, you know, during the Intifadas, Palestinians, Christians who were, you know, fighting in the Intifadas were barricaded there for days and days, for weeks, where Israeli soldiers, you know, literally shot bullets at one of the most historic and important Christian sites in the entire world. And, you know, they didn't care, you know, about the significance of this. And, you know, it shouldn't take the fact that people are Christian for folks to care, but the fact that they don't care whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, the way that our historical sites are targeted, the way that our people are driven out of their land. I mean, 95% of Palestine's Christian population has essentially been ethnically cleansed because of Israel, you know, being kicked out, and the Judaization, you know, of our historical sites, of our land, in order to take it over. I mean, this is exactly what we're seeing in the West Bank. You know, there's a refugee camp in Bethlehem, the birthplace of Christianity, that has a youth center for the children, and they just got a demolition order for that a couple days ago. This is stuff that you will not find in any mainstream media outlet, not even just mainstream, just Western media outlet in general. I mean, my village, Beit Iksa in the West Bank, was also just de facto annexed a couple of weeks ago. Literally cannot find a single Western media outlet talking about it. You know, I still have family there. Residents there now live under an identity or identification system that's so restrictive that it's basically house arrest. You need a permit to come in and out of the village, which is only like a village of 1,500 people that has like one grocery store, not even a grocery store, basically like a corner store, like a deli, like one butcher shop, and that's it. There's no like universities there. There's no clothing stores there. There's literally like you need to leave the village to do anything. And now, you know, there's been a checkpoint there for years because they were planning on taking it. It's surrounded by the settlements and by the Israeli apartheid wall, even though it takes 15 minutes to go from my village to Jerusalem to go to the Aqsa Mosque. Now it takes over 2 hours because you have to go around the wall, and they're making, you know, these new ID systems that they're rolling out in my village first, and I'm sure it's going to go throughout the rest of Palestine, where it's like a magnetic ID card that tracks your every move that you need to be able to get in and out of our village. And they're using, you know, what's going on in Gaza and the distraction of that to completely change and upheave the system in the West Bank without, you know, so much as a response from anybody.
I want to talk about this a little bit just because, and I know that he's being sarcastic because he's a regular and about Judeo-Christian values. And one thing I wanted to point out is, you know, we were talking about the importance of some of those holy sites. And one of the most holy sites in Palestine is the church for Christians is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And this is, it's the supposedly the location where Jesus was crucified. And it is in Jerusalem. And what's very interesting about this, I don't know if people realize that this is a very like foundational Christian church to people of the Christian faith. And it's in Ziohel. But do you know who is responsible for caretaking?
Muslim families. Yeah.
Muslim families. And not only Muslim families, but it's been the same couple. I want to say there's like two families, like there's been the same two families have been watching over the Church of the Holy Sepulchre since it's been in existence. So it isn't the Zios, it's not the Jews in Ziohel that are protecting that site. So, you know, it's why is it Judeo-Christian values? That's not a thing.
It's literally a myth that, you know, we only see in the US. I mean, when we're in Palestine, you literally do not feel a difference between you and your Christian brothers and sisters.
No.
I mean, like, we celebrated all of each other's holidays. My grandma, who grew up in Palestine, she was born in 1938, you know, prior to the creation of the state of Israel in 1948. She would tell me stories of, you know, how they would hide eggs and basically like Easter egg hunting. And she didn't even know that that was a Christian holiday. She was just like, this is just something that, you know, everybody did. And, you know, Easter is actually the larger holiday in Christianity. You know, we know in the US, it's very like commercialized to make it seem like, you know, Christmas is like the biggest Christian holiday. But a lot of Palestinians actually celebrate Christmas as part of other denominations in January. And, you know, Easter is like a big thing for all Palestinians.
Yeah, but Nerdeen, capitalism really does rely on serious end of quarter, end of year results for their numbers. And so Christmas is the holiday. It doesn't matter because we all know that it's pagan anyway. The whole thing is pagan.
Exactly, yeah.
So it doesn't even matter. They hijacked it. But yeah, it's so much more commercial. It's so much more profitable. Christmas is so much more profitable than Easter. It just is.
Exactly.
I want to thank you. We both want to thank you for coming on this evening. I would like you to share your final thoughts regarding what lies ahead. What can we do to help continue to build momentum, to break the unholy alliance that is the U.S.-Zio state relationship? I feel like we are making progress. It's not going to happen overnight, but there are definite cracks in the armor. There's no two ways about it. So what would you like to see going forward? And obviously, how can we continue using our platform to help facilitate that?
I mean, first of all, thank you both for having me on, especially, you know, on Christmas Day. I was surprised when I got the, you know, invite that it was going to be for today. And, I'm sure that, all of these Epstein files came out in mind that it was going to be the holidays. People are going to stop talking about it or get distracted. And that's what they want us to do. And that's exactly the opposite of what we have to do, because from Gaza's destruction to Beit Iksa, my village's annexation, to Epstein's hidden networks, to the NYPD's impunity, the pattern is the same. It's all connected, and power protects itself. So, this ongoing genocide is not an isolated moral failure. It's just something that exposes how the global order works, whether it's military occupation, elite corruption, or political betrayal. It all rests on the same foundation, that the powerful are immune and the powerless are expendable. But at the end of the day, we beat them in numbers, and we have to practice solidarity. I mean, all these settler colonial states, all of these capitalists, imperialists, they work together. They share intelligence strategies. They share weapons. They share information in order to keep us all oppressed. And so how do we think that we're going to be able to fight them back if we're not also constantly talking to each other and sharing strategies on resistance? And that's what, the term globalize the Intifada is all about. They want to make this like myth and claim it's like, oh, kill Jews everywhere, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like they literally just banned it in the UK. You can get arrested.
It's so ridiculous.
And it's crazy because literally the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum used the term Intifada in their translation of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising and changed it post October 7 because they realize it really puts a damp, it really dampens their narrative. That Intifada is just like scary.
Maybe we should just really use the word enchilada.
I mean,
when we mean Intifada, like seriously, because then what's going to happen? Globalize the enchilada. Nobody's going to be able to do anything, but everyone knows what you're saying. Because that's what it sounds like when they say that that's how ridiculous the people sound when they're trying to control our speech to me.
Exactly. I mean, Intifada doesn't even necessarily, mean like violent or armed resistance. The first,
let's say it did. Let's say it did.
The term that they changed it to, the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum, changed it from Intifada to Muqawama, which Muqawama literally means resistance, and it's like synonymous with armed resistance. So if anything, the word they changed it to is literally like more direct, like literally fighting. So, I mean, we can say globalize the Muqawama if we're only allowed to use words that the Holocaust Memorial Museum is using. So I mean, whatever you want to call it, you
exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's about resistance, and it's about the fact that Palestinians are still resisting under some of the most unimaginable conditions, under one of the most powerful, well-funded militaries in the world, against global empire. And October 7 was an embarrassment for them, and it was a failure on Israel's part. It showed that even when you lock people up in a concentration camp for the better part of 2 decades, that they can still be resilient. And this is something that really puts fear in them, because this inspires, global resistance all over the world. It inspires organizing all around the world. And so, all they have left is laws to try to silence us, to try to scare us into self-isolation, into what's the word? Just kind of, censorship, self-censorship. And so we have to resist that with everything we have. I mean, Palestinians have resisted that with their lives, with their children, with their homes. And so, whatever they can threaten us with, it really can't be as bad as Palestine. And if it does get to that point, it's because we allowed Palestine, to be on its own. So, this is part of a global struggle against systems of domination. And so what's at stake isn't just Palestinian liberation. It's the possibility of a world where the oppressed aren't erased for speaking truth, and where justice can't be postponed by politics. So the question isn't whether change will come. We know it's going to come. The question is whether we'll confront this system honestly enough to be a part of that change and bring that change closer, within our lifetime, or as close as possible as it can get. It's not something that we defer. That's the whole point of our organization, that, we really take this seriously enough to try to bring this change about as soon as possible, and, hopefully in our lifetime.
Oh, it'll be in your lifetime for sure. It's
Well,
going to happen.
Well, Jen's convinced that she's out of here in 22 years or so, 21 years.
I was
Anyway,
saying 24, but okay.
Good take. I think she'll be here for it because I think, let's put it this way. 8 months ago, we had 23,000 subscribers on this channel. Now we have 103,000 subscribers on this channel. So if that's possible in your lifetime, then thank you. Then perhaps the disintegration of the Zio state might actually be possible. I think having you back again on a panel would be awesome. Jen?
Of course. We always like to, keep cross-pollinating with people that are on our mission.
Yeah.
Anytime. This has been amazing. And, I'm really proud that your platform is growing. I think any platform that speaks about, Palestine, honestly and unafraid, deserves to grow, and it will grow. And that's, they want us to think that we're alone, that our politics are so extreme and radical and crazy. But honestly, you have a conversation with a random person in New York, 9 times out of 10, I'm telling you, people agree with us. People see the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Self-explanatory. The media, CBS, Larry Ellison, TikTok, all of these things are psyops to make you think that, you're alone so that you can, self-censor. Everything is timed to come out at a time where they want us to stop talking about it. But the more we talk about it, the more we see, we're not alone. This is where people are at. And, it's inevitable. Change is inevitable. And the fight for Palestine isn't a fight where we think we're going to free Palestine. It's actually the fact that Palestine is freeing all of us.
Correct.
Correct.
It's collective liberation. None of us are free until all of us are free. It is really that simple. And Palestine is just right now where we need to be focusing our attention on that.
And just remember, Bill Ackman would not be acting this way unless we were having that big of an impact. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Guys, links will be in the description. Again, it is a pleasure. And inshallah, Nerdeen, thank you for all that you do. I have no doubt, if there's one thing I could say, and we've had certain guests that I have no doubt have walked a very dangerous line at times, I have no doubt that you are probably a marked person in New York. So stay strong, keep your head up. And from the river to the sea, Palestine will be, shall be, must be free.
Yes.
It will be, inshallah.
Thanks, Nerdeen.
Thank you all. Hopefully see you guys again soon. Good night.
Absolutely. Have a great night. I would say that was a great conversation.
And I'm very happy to say globalize the Intifada. I'm also happy to say globalize the enchilada.
Yes, the enchilada. Absolutely.
Let me tell you something. Okay. That is one thing. And I mean, normally I would say it regarding tacos, but an enchilada will do. It's just sort of like this universal language, right? Like pretty much anywhere in the world, people will be happy if you hand them a taco.
In fact,
everybody likes tacos, all kinds of tacos. So it's sort of like that. So like globalize the enchilada makes a whole lot of sense. We'd all get along better if we had more enchiladas.
Listen, I'm getting hungry already. We still got one big segment left to do. But in the meantime, if you are enjoying this conversation on this Christmas night.
Well, Travers is like obsessed with pigs in blankets tonight. Obsessed with pigs in blankets. Every other comment has had to do with pigs in blankets. Travers, what's with that?
Hey, Travers, tell me one more time what part of Ireland you're in, because
he's in. Travers is he in Ireland? When he was in Ireland, he was in Cork. Okay. But I know he lives in Scotland, in Aberdeen.
Scotland. Patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. And as I mentioned just a little while ago, we have now passed 103,000 subscribers on our channel. So
he's in Aberdeen tonight. See?
There you go. Okay. So we
do you know where that is? Do you know where Aberdeen is?
It's in the UK. I know that. It's in.
Okay, so it's Scotland,
yeah,
but where it is Scotland, it's sort of like you have to go from Edinburgh. You'd have to go like past St. Andrews, where all the hoity-toity golfing thing is, and all of that is in St. Andrews, and then you're in where he is in Aberdeen. Tell me if I'm wrong, Travers.
You're probably right. You say that with such confidence. Being that it's Christmas and that it has been a while, but she pokes her head in every once in a while to let us know she's still got a lot of love for us. Double K with the
Double K
and contribution. Merry Christmas and hope you're doing well. It's great to see you here. Hope you're enjoying it. Jim Talib being extra generous on this special day, he has a $20 super sticker for us. Thank you very, very much, my friend. Coffee lover with the $10. 'Tis the season for giving. So get some coffee on me, you too. Well, I'll tell you what. We're able to get for $10, probably, what's that, Jen? What's $10 for? Is that 1.5 coffees?
I'm not a coffee drinker. I want hot cocoa, but we could each get a nice one for that, and it could have like whipped cream. Sunny is asking if Derry is under British occupation. It is in Northern Ireland.
So technically that would be correct. That's it is what it is. Our very good friend and supporter of the channel, Anthony Aguilar, with the 1999. Epstein wasn't rich. He was provided an unlimited operational fund and cover to target illicit sabotage and blackmail. Trump and others have been slow burn targets, and now the fire rages. Only we can take the power back. Hence why covering Leslie Wexner is the key ingredient to the entire story. While everyone's distracted by Trump or even Epstein himself, people don't pay attention to where the real problem lies. And no question, it is Wexner. Andy Turbo with the 5. Where is the A from again? Is that Algeria? I'm kidding. Where is it? Is it Australia?
I think it's Australia, isn't it?
Welcome, Mr. Rossi, my friend. Hi, please excuse my interruption. I am after the latest on Santa's arrest by the IDF. Please, when possible, many thanks. Hey, way ahead of you, brother. Hope you appreciated the segment. Really appreciate your support. Our trusty mod with the 2 Canadian A. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everyone. Right back at you. And our trusty mod again with the 5 Canadian A. We know too well our freedom is incomplete without freedom of the Palestinians. Nelson Mandela, have that quote on the side of my truck. Very cool. And yes, Nelson Mandela was quite poetic in many of his statements for sure.
Someone says they're rolling a joint, ask me if I want one. It's so funny. It's sort of like if Rachel, I know you're watching, it's sort of like, hey, Rachel, you want to share this joint? And it's like, that's our now universal sort of phrase for duh. That's like, hey, you want to smoke this bowl? Well, it's not going to smoke itself.
Yeah, I've heard that one a time or two. And Gezin82 with the $10 super sticker. Thank you very, very much. Now, as you guys know, I've been featuring this story cannot continue yet because Josie with the $20. Thank you for this holiday show. Peace and free Palestine. Merry Christmas, Josie. I cannot thank you enough for your, again, Josie's another one of our OGs. She has been a supporter of our channel for a long time.
For a really long time.
Always great to see you here, my friend.
Okay, now that is definitely an occupational hazard. Did I smoke that already? I mean, yeah, that has definitely happened. And I, there's certain times where we have to like reprimand ourselves. Like I am no longer allowed to have smoking in bed. I'm not allowed to smoke in bed. It's not allowed to happen. Too many incidents with spilled bong water. And I have just now reprimanded myself to the point that if I feel the need to smoke, I have to at least have the wherewithal to get up and walk across the room. Well, so because I can't, and the bong water is not my friend. So
such a considerate individual, I must say.
So. Well, I don't like having to deal with bong water in my sheets. I've had that happen to like, it happened 3 times in that when it was like 3 strikes, I'm out, no more in bed. So it has to be across the room.
Whatever sign that may be, but.
Cheers. You're going to call this a sign from the universe? Well, I don't know. I might be getting a marriage proposal. If you marry me, you can spill all the, if you're offering to clean up my bong water, also, if anybody wants to clean paraphernalia and load bowls for me, that's like a key job. Rachel is the best. You have stiff competition because Rachel is like the best, like bowl packer.
So this is a story that I've been covering on my solo show, but I wanted to get Jen in on the conversation. So I think you were here possibly for the first segment that we covered on it. So Bondi Beach, there is definitely something very sinister going on there. Now, obviously, we've addressed Arsen Ostrovsky and his direct connection to what appears to be a false flag. There is no question that you have often said anytime these attacks spring up out of nowhere, especially in a place like Australia, where it appears to be almost impossible to get firearms into that country. And yet not only did these assassins get firearms in, they got in assault weapons. Now you tell me, Jen, how that was possible.
Well, that's what I said from the very first time we addressed this. When things like that happen here, it's just any other day. That's not a big deal, and I think people in this country, we're so jaded by it at this point. It's like, we've had more mass shootings than days in the year. So it's just, but in Australia, that doesn't happen. They don't have firearms like we do here. They don't have access to firearms. It's not a thing there. So for this to happen there is way, way bigger of a deal than when it happens here in terms of the backstory and how did they get that and how did it, you don't have to, here it could be a million different ways. There's not a million different ways to get that kind of, to get those kinds of firearms.
Mehdi, you're going to have to send me an email with that information because I haven't heard any such thing. As far as I know, no one is just walking into some random gun shop in Australia. At least that's my understanding. So if you have anything you can share through email, by all means, you can send it. Now, this lady's name is Gadelia Blum, an Israeli who says Western nations need to rewrite all their laws in the wake of the Bondi Beach shooting to fight anti-Septicism, as we'll call it. We have to come up with code words here. But here's what this nincompoop had to say.
Today, the trains left the station. Anti-Semitism is rising, not just in Australia, where they had a more than 300% spike, but in every country year on year, not only since October 7th, since before, and certainly since the start of the war. Can the train be put back in the station, or has it already left? And this 8th front is actually the new, hardest and longest front that we are going to be fighting.
So I think there's two things that need to be addressed. Number one is that the West needs to wake up. The Christians need to wake up to see what's going on the streets of their own cities. Once they wake up, then they have to do another thing. They have to look at their laws and realize that those laws were written in this homogenous era where everybody kind of agreed to a certain culture and a certain area. When you're in France, you became French. The laws were written with that in mind for thousands of years. We're not living that era anymore. They have to go against.
Anytime I see this, I am convinced that the call is coming from inside the house, as you like to
Every
say.
time now. I will think that every time. And that's unfortunately what happens. That's the whole problem with the boy who cried wolf, right? Because every time I'm seeing the vandalism like this, I do believe that, and probably not every time. I'm sure that there's ones that are random, but that's what happens when you lie so many times, nobody believes you. But I do think a bulk of the time that it's done by insiders to provoke this, to provoke this idea that there is so much anti-Semitism. They want to keep perpetuating that idea. So yes, I do think the call is from inside the house.
Their own laws. They can't be on this soapbox of liberal democracy and everybody's free and equal. Again, it goes back to being hijacked by tolerance. You can't be tolerant to the people that you bring in that are not respective of your laws, that are having grooming gangs, that are going out on the streets and inciting murder and violence.
We are committing murder and violence, but they're inciting murder and violence. Do you see? You see the connection here?
Yes.
Yes. Because people are marching in the streets with the Palestinian flag, and you don't like to see that? And these, honestly, I don't understand. I mean, credit where credit's due to the protesters, the Palestinians, and just Muslims in general who allow little squeaky bastards like this guy in the middle right here, who probably is like running up to them and either hitting them or trying to grab their stuff from them. Or, as we mentioned earlier, a man who was praying and some Zio decided he was going to run him over with a quad. I would not be so gentle. I would not be so considerate. In fact, I would be pretty aggressive. I don't know how they have it in them to look the other way, but maybe that's the plan. Maybe the whole plan is nonviolent resistance will ultimately win out the day. Maybe it will, but I get really sick and tired of seeing these people and the actions that they're able to get away with.
That is not free speech. And I think that these people need to realize, and you're starting to see this in Germany, you're starting to see this even in France, that the police are taking clubs to the heads of these protesters. And I think that, and you're seeing with the rise of Tommy Robinson, like him or hate him, whatever you want to do, his voice is a voice of millions of people in Great Britain.
I don't think so.
Notice how Tommy Robinson does that Unite the Rally event that was pushed by Elon back in the summer or the beginning of the summer. And he had about, for being completely fair, about 100 to maybe 150,000 people probably showed up at that event. It was pretty big. Like, they got a lot of people to show up. The Christmas event, or I think it might have been a Thanksgiving event that he did within the last couple of weeks, 1,000 people showed up for that one.
Yeah,
So
but isn't he like in exile now? Like, wasn't he like leaving the country and stuff?
No, and apparently he just attempted to, I don't know if he was trying to seek asylum in Dubai, but he was in Dubai and then he got kicked out. They kicked him out of Dubai. So he's, again, his usage for the Zio state has been reduced significantly. So I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. But propaganda is as propaganda does, I guess.
Who want their country back. And I think that it comes down to the fact, are they willing to go against their own set of laws and values that they've had, that they held on so tight, in order to be able to fix the problem? Because it's not going to be able to be fixed under the current framework of the law.
Yeah, I think that goes without question. We are starting to see some initiatives pop up, certainly in Washington, D.C., the new Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress, and, riling up.
What did she just say?
The new Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress? Is that what she said?
Of the law.
Yeah, I think that goes without question. We are starting to see some initiatives pop up, certainly in Washington, D.C., the new Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress.
The new Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress, as if the Congress we already have isn't Judeo-Christian Zio enough. How hilarious is that? Our Congress is completely operated as a Judeo-Christian Zionist entity, and yet that's not enough for them. They need to create a literal Judeo-Christian Zionist Congress.
Well,
that's hilarious. How much more Zionist could something be than our Congress?
Well, the big difference now is that now they're just saying it. For the longest time, they would say, oh, you're being anti-Septic, if you will. How dare you suggest that our Congress is owned and controlled by the Zio state? And now this lady is coming out and saying, and this new Zio state-run Congress, that's really the beauty of the Trump era. The filter is completely gone. I don't know if this person is trying to be funny or not, but yeah, they're probably.
No, she's talking about another, like an outside organization, like an NGO or something that they're creating. She's not talking about literal Congress. I just think it's hilarious that they would need to create something outside of what already exists as a complete Zio Congress.
And to make a slight U-turn or an off-ramp for a second, because I noticed what Rachel just said. What in God's name kind of a necklace is this woman wearing? Like,
it's kind of cool. That's what I was trying to look at before. I actually like cool stuff like that. But when you're doing television and when you're doing broadcasting, it's really not a good idea to wear very distracted, kind of loud stuff, because it's hard to make out exactly what it is. So it's a poor choice for this occasion, but it's not an entirely uncool necklace. But I would need to see it in person.
Well, this is, again, gets back to, again, as our conversation comes full circle with somebody like Katie Miller, who's sitting there with the Speaker of the House and dressing like a very inappropriate fool.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, and quite honestly, even, and again, and I hate to pick at how people are in terms of presentation, but even her hair looks like she just threw it together and stuck it behind in a scrunchie with it pieces sticking out. And the problem with that is that this is supposed to be some sort of professional, mainstream looking platform, or at least that's how they're presenting themselves. They're presenting themselves as somewhat professional. And yet she looks like she was just hanging out and they said, hey, we need you to come on and do this show. And she quickly put her hair up and threw on some guy's jacket and just sat down there. I don't know. It just doesn't look like these people are really like, they're all just stuck in there like pod people, because anybody who would have said anything remotely journalistic or truthful has been kicked to the curb so many years ago. So what we're left with are just sort of a bunch of these girls that seemingly just have to fill in and just do this.
That's a fair point.
You know, riling up millions and millions of Christians to work together to hopefully be able to combat this, not in terms of theology, but actually in terms of exactly what you're saying, security, Western values, and policy. Now, unfortunately, we are out of time tonight.
Yeah, and your whole conversation is out of bounds, much less out of time. This is, again, why I'm convinced that whatever went down at Bondi Beach is not anywhere near what people are making it out to be, because there is universal message going around now that we have to ratchet up the censorship and the anti-gun movement even harder. Money talks, justice walks. If you pay the toll, if you will, there will be a politician who will come out and say exactly what you want them to say. And if this whole idea that we now have to...
Will the West lose its Jews? To where? Where are we going?
Yeah,
where are we going?
Again, just making stuff up as they go along. That's the problem. And it's not going to last. We keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. This can't possibly last. I just don't see any scenario. But they're going to try every which way to try to hold us back. That's what they're going to do. And when you look at how all these pieces just continue to prove time and again, like with the swastikas, your first instinct is to say, oh, that was done by somebody who probably goes to that synagogue.
Yeah. Or somebody who hired somebody to do that. Somebody from that synagogue hired somebody to do it is probably more likely, but yes.
And then when you have somebody who's going on TV on behalf of the state of Israel saying, oh, look what happened at Bondi Beach. We have to do this, that, and the other thing in the West. Otherwise, we're going to lose the Jews.
What do you mean lose the Jews? How are we getting lost? I don't understand what that means. What do they mean?
It's the Jews.
What do they mean lose the Jews?
Yeah. Well, again, everything.
What is that? No, I'm serious. Do they mean like losing us to, well, I don't know what that means. Like, what are they talking about?
What it means is that we haven't gone far enough in terms of censorship. So it's going to get so much worse.
No, but I just don't know what they mean in terms of, are they going to lose where are they losing us? Like, are we going to be lost? Where are we losing? Like, I don't know what that means.
Well, I know this much. Right now, we are not controlled by the Zio state through Google/YouTube. But if the Ellisons have their way and continue to create this entire monopolistic control over our media, who's to say that our channel will not be gone soon enough?
Oh, I say it at any time it could all just be pulled out, and not just us. Any media that's speaking out or saying things that's against the narrative of the global elite, anybody who's speaking out against, what's going on right now, I think is at risk of having our rug pulled out from under us, for sure.
Oh, I agree. But this is why we have to remain vigilant and keep spreading the word. That is our job. And that has been the holiday message for this evening. The A channel with the 199. Holla. Appreciate you checking.
Hola.
Hola.
It's hola. Holla.
Pirate chat. Pirate Justin with the $5. Merry Christmas, Peter. Happy Thursday, Jen, or Happy Smoky Thursday, Jen. Sorry if that was anti-Semitic.
You're an anti-dentite, anti-Semite.
Yeah. It is the Festivus for the rest of us as well.
It isn't. It isn't. I feel like if you were here, I'd be beating you with the fake Festivus poll.
She beats him. Marvin Vargas with the $2. Couple of shekels. Jen, curious, are you a deadhead?
Yeah. Well, I would say I was a deadhead. I would say I was a deadhead. I have been to many a show prior to Jerry dying in different parts of the country. So I've seen a lot of shows, if that makes me a deadhead. And I went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. So it's almost like, it's almost like a prerequisite course to understand what Steal Your Face is. You know what I mean? Like yeah, kind of.
Do I have the ability to do? No, I don't think I do. I was trying to see if I had the ability to do a poll before we exited for the evening. On Saturday, I'm debating this, Jen, because I would have to do this.
This is not cool. That's just not cool.
Yeah,
it's mean on so many accounts. And there's just no need for it.
They're like the most chill people in the world. Like it's like calling Bill Walton a retard. What the hell's wrong with you? Jeez.
Like deadheads don't hurt anybody. So Jason and I had this deal for years when we met in school. So he would come with me to the Dead shows and I would go with him when he wanted to go see Jimmy Buffett, which is so not my vibe. And then Jerry died, and yet I was still going to Buffett concerts on occasion. I remember at one point being like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. It's not right. I feel like this is not working for me. I don't belong at a Buffett show. I just don't. It's not my thing.
Truth be told.
Oh, I love Dancing Bears. I have a couple of shirts like that as well.
So on Saturday, we at some point are going to have to address the COT story. I was planning on addressing it tonight. I decided not to do it because apparently anybody who attempts to play the clip from Canada of the 60 Minutes expose on COT is getting demonetized. Like they're coming at you with copyright strikes.
So then we're not going to do it.
No, couldn't do it tonight. So we'll see what ultimately ends up happening, but that story's not going anywhere. That one's going to continue to be addressed. On Saturday, I'm contemplating having on a friend that I used to hang out with many, many moons ago. Her name is Jenna, and she is very proudly Jewish, and she's very pro-Israel. And she actually reached out to me first to congratulate us on the success of the channel. And she wanted to know if I would be interested in having her on to talk about Israel-Palestine. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I can't do it with Jen here. Like that, it'll
Wait, you can't talk about what with me here?
She wants to come on and share her like pro-Israel position.
Why? And why would we be
platforming? She reached out to me. She asked me,
I don't care. I don't care if she reached out to you. Why are we platforming that? I don't agree with that at all.
I didn't say yes. I haven't responded.
No, we're not platforming that trash. Absolutely not. No. I don't Dave Matthews. I don't have a problem with Dave Matthews, but I don't Dave Matthews. We do not platform Zios here. Okay? No.
I think about it at this point, and I'm thinking, all right, she comes from a very well-to-do family in the burbs and loves Israel and all this shit. And I'm thinking,
why would somebody reach, and where did she reach out to you? On what platform?
On Messenger, on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, no, we don't platform Zios. We shouldn't even be communicating with Zios. There's no there at this point. Again, 2 to 3 week grace period at best after October 7th. Everybody since then is we're done. I have nothing to speak to them about. Absolutely nothing. I can't believe you even entertain a conversation.
Well, I didn't. I said I'd like to talk to you. I asked her what's it about, and she said Israel Palestine, and I haven't responded to her, so I had to obviously check. So yeah, what do you want me to
Yeah,
say?
no, we're not doing that. In fact, that's not even something that I'm okay with, even if I'm not here. We're not platforming that.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I just feel like telling her.
By the way, everyone agrees with me.
Well, I mean,
Pirate Justin, there's no need to get nasty. Okay, there's no need to get nasty.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, he could be 20 years old.
I don't care. I don't know how old he is. I don't be
Look, all I'm saying
likened
is
to somebody's mother. Come on.
all I'm saying is it is. I don't. I almost am inclined to want to bring on somebody to. I don't want to say hang themselves, but they
No. No, we're above that. That's stupid. It's gratuitous. It's low-hanging fruit. And at the end of the day, it's giving credibility by inviting somebody on to talk about something that is not credible. It's the same reason I'm not debating creationists or anti-choice people or flat earthers. I'm not giving credibility to that position.
What if we got Barry Weiss to come on?
I wouldn't want her to come on either.
There's
no reason. There's no reason. It's gratuitous. You do it for clicks, but there's not going to be any sort of meeting of the minds. There's no there. There's nothing to be gained in terms of our movement and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if somebody like Jenna is still a supporter of the state of Israel, that means that there's no changing her mind. So
again, 3 weeks max grace period after October 7th. And if you have not gotten your head on right at that point, it's game over for you. Bye-bye.
A lady with the $2. I support listening to opposing viewpoints.
No, I don't. Not on that. Not on that. We're not having an opposing viewpoint. That's having an opposing viewpoint on white supremacy. That's what that is. You're having an opposing viewpoint on Jewish supremacy, which is really white supremacy. So we're not going to agree to disagree on that. No.
Ronnie with the 199. Thank you for not platforming them.
Hell no.
No, sometimes I just feel like if you do platform them, they just make themselves look even stupider. But
no, and yes, that does, but it lowers our credibility and our standard of what we do here to put that on our platform.
Okay. Well, I heard you.
I know you heard me, and you know that we both have equal control over the StreamYard. So it's not like you could get away with doing anything without me being able to shut the shit down too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you would do something like that, wouldn't you?
If you platform a Zio, yeah, I might. Don't do it. It would be worse than, Yeah.
You know what I'll tell you why the whole thing is just so ridiculous, because I hadn't communicated with her. I hadn't heard from her. Kayla, I don't really care what you think or what you say. That's my attitude.
He doesn't. He's just he doesn't. No. I don't know what you mean by stylistically, but I don't know.
That's an example of just not understanding where we are. And if you think that
he just likes to engage,
yeah,
to see where he can get with them. He doesn't like them. He doesn't want to hang out with them. They're not his kind of people where, that's it. But this is how I feel about it. It's like, yeah, let us get the Klan on to hear opposing viewpoints, or Dershowitz on the age of consent. Exactly.
Oh,
but like, not everybody is worth talking to.
Yeah, that's true.
Some people are.
Like I said, I had not communicated or heard from Jenna in years. I'm talking like.
You know her from where?
When I used to live in New Jersey.
Oh.
Like I haven't really, I can't remember the last time I was even in her presence. It's been a long
and that's to your advantage. And for your sake, I would keep it that way.
Which also goes to show you that the reason she probably reached out is that she probably decided to take a look at the podcast, saw what type of an impact it's been having, and was thinking, okay, now I have to go talk to him because I have to tell him how things really are. Because I've been to the kibbutz and I've been to Israel and I really know what's going on. that's how they treat it. And that's how people that are extremely privileged, sorry, Jenna, if you're listening, but you are privileged. That is just kind of how it works out. So again, she's nice to me, but the relationship doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't.
No.
Bon voyage. You have the humanity, and that's about it.
We don't affiliate with Zios. This is a no Zio zone.
Oh, I have one more to get to. Brett, we'll see. I'll come on Talk Saturday, healthcare, guns, etc. I haven't decided yet. I typically
guns. We're talking guns.
Yeah, he wants to talk about how. Well, I think guns are legal, but
this is funny. Yeah, but Peter, but you haven't been.
No, I haven't, and I have absolutely no desire to go because
if
if I go, I'm probably never coming back, and that's not a good thing. I don't mean that in a good way. I mean, like, they'll probably, they'll hang me in the town square or rape me first, and then they'll hang me in the town square.
Exactly. Pot is fun, not guns. Absolutely. Let me tell you something. If everybody traded in their guns for cannabis, this country would be an infinitely better place.
Libertarian Social Democrat with the 199. Peter, have you met Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire? No, and I know he lives not far from where I am. Unfortunately, Farron and I, and just us in general, have not communicated.
He's been on. We've had him on our show, and I like Farron, and he had me on.
But Farron unfortunately decided to turn his entire show into an anti-Trump channel, and that's like the furthest thing from where politics is supposed to be. And he did it for clicks. And if he says otherwise, he's a liar. I paid attention to where he took his channel. It's clear. And you know what? I'm proud that we took our channel where we took it, and we never sold out. We never decided to go down that clickbaity road just to talk about, ooh, what's the latest hot button topic of what's going on? I am watching everybody covering the Epstein files, and very few people outside of somebody like Whitney Webb are truly honed in on the fact that Leslie Wexner is really the key ingredient. Everyone wants to talk about Trump because that's what's getting clicks, or Clinton, or maybe Ghislaine Maxwell. But in the end, it's all about Wexner and a few others.
Oh, yeah, Mehdi. Oh, I'm not suggesting people turn in their guns. I'm fine with everybody having their firearms. I was just philosophizing that in general, if it was all cannabis, if we had that instead of guns, that it would just be a better place. I wasn't really making like any, I don't do bans or mandates. That's just not my thing.
Jay Frog with the $10. I see Peter's point. I'm usually down to reach out to people outside my political box, like right-wing working class.
Yes.
I can't with Zios. I honestly can't stand them.
And the truth is, and you've said this, Peter, you're the one who's been saying this, like, they need to be isolated like the pariahs that they are. They need to feel that nobody wants to have anything to do with them. And you don't put up that concept and then invite them to come on and chit chat like it's any other day.
I understand. I understand. Because you're right. At this point, you're giving them any type of credibility. You can't do that. It's like, look, I'd like to talk to you, but I can't.
But you're just too stupid.
And she's a clinical psychologist. That's what
that means nothing to me.
No, that just makes it even worse. It makes it worse because she's supposed to be somebody who's actually trying to help people. She is. That's like a level.
Don't get me started. I could say things about people that are therapists that really are in the wrong line of work.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. And Mod 885 with the SEK 30 something. If anybody in the chat knows what SEK stands for.
Not Swedish.
No.
Krona? Is it a krona? Is it? I don't know.
Not sure, but thank you very much for the super sticker.
It is Swedish krona.
It is Swedish. Okay, cool.
Well, that's what Justin's saying. So, but no, it's not. Yeah, we'll say that that's right.
By the way, I saw that a comment from.
Then Matt says South Korea. All right, you guys figure it out amongst yourselves.
And I saw a comment from Bet Beat Media come in a little earlier about the fact that Scandinavia is not all that it's cracked up to be. There's a lot of neoliberalism and all that shit. I'm like, look. I have no doubt that is the case, but you have no leg to stand on if you're going to suggest that the basic tenements of living are not covered better in those countries compared to the United States. It's obvious that they are. That doesn't mean that it's not a neoliberal hellscape. Hell, Canada's a neoliberal hellscape in many respects. And there are things that they have in their country that is infinitely better than what we have here. Again, it's not a measurement against what level of suck. We just want a basic standard of living. And in the United States, you don't have it. Period.
Oh my God, Travers, enough with pigs and blankets.
He's just trying to get you to.
He's distracting me. Stop it.
You don't stop staring at the chat the entire time.
I see pigs and blankets.
Smash that like button, share and subscribe if you would, and continue to spread the word about our channel. We really appreciate you all. We hope you all had a great Christmas. And you know what? I even noticed that some of you were mentioning, that it is the holiday, and for some it's not. It's either not been a great holiday, or you may not have people to share it with. So we take pride in knowing that there is a community that has been built here, and it covers almost the entire political spectrum, minus shit libs and Zio scum. But pretty much everybody else is here, and that's great. And we are very happy to provide that outlet to each and every one of you, because it matters that much to us, as we hope it does to you. So smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. I will see you Saturday. Merry Christmas to all. And
I won't see you Saturday unless Peter gets frozen and I have to pop in and save him.
And
free Palestine.
Good night, guys.